Good morning, everyone. Hello, everyone. It is March 23rd, 2018. This is sig-aws, our bi-weekly meeting. We have a couple of things on the agenda. As always, please add your name to the attending list and add any items to the agenda so we can be sure to cover them. The first item that I put on the agenda is that a couple of weeks ago, well, 4 weeks ago and 2 weeks ago, we talked about the AWS encryption provider, which is our first SIG-hosted, I think that's the word, or SIG project. So one of the replacements for the incubator is that SIGs are able to have projects under their scope or in their scope. And our first one is the encryption provider, which implements an API in API server to encrypt secrets at rest in etcd. And we have a project up and running. It is, I will put a link to it, but it's under GitHub, Kubernetes SIGs, AWS encryption provider. And big thanks to Seth Pollock, who actually got a whole load of code in there. I don't think we're ready to make a guarantee that it's stable, as in like we're never going to change the format on disk, but it looks like it works, and hopefully, you know, we will be able to make that guarantee pretty soon. And we want to get it under EDE testing, I think, is the big thing before we can say yes, this is ready for people to use. But yes, if you want to contribute to that, obviously the link is in the minutes, and contributions are very welcome. And a huge shout out to Seth, who did all the work so far. And
Seth, just wanted to offer something, Justin. Seth, or whoever's doing the testing, definitely ping me if you can't get a hold of Justin, because I think I actually understand how we can get under ET pretty well, since I've been messing around with a bunch of it. So, and Justin, I know how busy you are, so just wanted to offer that up.
Awesome, thank you.
Thanks.
And then we have a couple of items that came up on the SIG AWS mailing list, which I guess we haven't talked about. I think I will do them out of order. The first one is the ownership of the AWS EBS CSI driver. So I don't honestly know a whole lot about this, but my understanding is that we're moving to more of a provider interface for storage, as well as, or similar to what we have for networking. So CSI is, I guess, the CNI drivers, but for storage. And I guess the question was sent by someone who's more on the Luis, I think it was Luis, who is probably more on the storage side now, wondering whether the AWS EBS CSI drivers are owned by SIG AWS or are owned by SIG Storage. I don't know if anyone has a particularly strong view. I would guess we would say that it's owned by both of us, but if someone had to be the official owner, it would be SIG Storage, but I don't know if anyone has an opinion.
Justin, do you know whether so what's happening with the other cloud provider storage drivers?
That is a great question. I don't know, and you're right. We should probably just do whatever.
Exactly.
Like whatever GCE is doing.
The last thing I know of is SIG Storage was still driving those storage drivers, even though they're trying to find a new home for all these volume plugins, right? So
cool. So I think that is a great suggestion, that we should follow the example of the other cloud providers, in particular GCE, but or GCP, I should say. But I think as a SIG, we would like to participate in that, but I don't think we have any particular need to own it. But if they want us to own it, I don't think we have an objection to owning it. If anyone disagrees with that, then let me know or speak up. Cool. The next item on the agenda is so if we assume AWS encryption provider is rolling forwards and is our good sort of first non-controversial project, another thing from the mailing list is that we had two proposals to I don't know what the word is, I guess like incubate, but to add as one of our next projects, SIG projects, the ALB ingress controllers. And the complexity here is that there are two ALB ingress controllers that are out there in the field. There is one from, I guess, I call it the CoreOS Ticketmaster one, and there's one from Zalando. And my impression is that they are pretty different. I think that the Zalando one, for example, uses CloudFormation. I think the Ticketmaster, but might have more complete support. I think the CoreOS one is the CoreOS Ticketmaster one is a more straightforward implementation, i.e. doesn't use CloudFormation, but might not have as complete support. It might be my summary. I don't want to offend anyone. And I don't know how, as a SIG, we want to think about that. There is a reason we started with the AWS encryption provider, because it was going to avoid a lot of these issues. It's sort of non-controversial and purely additive. But I don't know whether anyone has any view about, I guess our three options, or our four options are: we incubate, or we accept in one, we accept in both, we accept in neither, we accept, or we accept in sort of what we did with DNS, where we say like, come together and build it again, like pull in the code that you guys can agree on, and sort of build a combined one that works for everyone. I guess those are our options. I don't know if people have opinions on the different ALB ingress controllers from using them, or have opinions on how we should proceed in general. Or if anyone from either ALB ingress controller is here today.
So what I can share from our side is we are looking at both the controllers right now and doing an evaluation. And I do plan to share the evaluation notes from our side to the SIG, so that we can make a call whether it's one or it's going to be both in the SIG AWS umbrella. So
that would be good. Is there any sort of timeline on when you're? Because I don't know what the
So give us a couple of weeks, and I think we should have something to share with the SIG. So
okay, I think that would be good. I think having a relatively impartial evaluator would be a good thing. I think I honestly I don't know what the right answer is in terms of how we do this. I think what we did with external DNS was a good thing, in that in theory it works for everyone. Although like that project is still like ongoing, and like mostly on my side, like we haven't really got it integrated with COPS yet. So that's something that I want to do there, and it is a challenge to like find time to support a third project, right? The N+1 problem. Another idea that I had that came up was another alternative SIG project would be that we do sort of have a need to terminate a node that's not ready for more than a certain amount of time. So if a node is stuck and not ready on a cloud, you typically want to terminate it, which can be a nice drain and terminate, or some sort of policy for what you do. As of 1.9, I think if the volume subsystem gets into a stuck state, so if it gets sufficiently confused, it will mark the node not ready, and it will stay that way forever. So we really do need some controller that comes in and will terminate instances after a certain amount of time. And it obviously should be, it's not going to be for everyone, but it should be the default policy, in my opinion. And I don't know I don't know what's out there that does this. I thought that GCE had something similar, but I was trying to find it and couldn't immediately find the link. That's another thing that I thought might be another uncontroversial SIG project that is also well-defined in scope. But I don't know if anyone has any other suggestions. I want to try to keep the ball moving on like getting a lot of these projects going, so that we're in a good shape, and we sort of avoid the situation where we have multiple. I think the problem is if we don't incubate them within the SIG in one well-defined place, we end up with multiple, and then we have a bigger problem in terms of unifying them. Everyone's very quiet this morning. I feel like I'm just talking and talking. Okay, well, we can go on to the next item, which is...
I'll say something real quick. Justin, your idea of the node problem detector kind of dead node thing, we would use that all the time. We don't get it as frequently as we used to. Previously, we were on CoreOS, and we saw some more node specific issues at that point. But you know, using the Debian setup from Kops, you know, we don't run into that as much. But I would love that. Occasionally, very rarely, we get that. But yeah, I would help out in that area too.
Wonderful. That's good. And yeah, I think I need to try to find, or unless someone knows it, I need to try to find where it happens on GCE or GKE today, because I thought it was done, but maybe not. And then, but yeah, it would be great to work on that together if you're interested. Cool. We have another item on the agenda: AWS integration with identity access managers. What is being done with integrations into gateway products? I don't know who put this on the agenda, but if they want to speak to it, that'd be wonderful.
Yeah, this is Henry Hotlet.
Hey, Henry. Hey, Henry, go for it. Go for it.
So I figured, you know, maybe I'll just introduce myself. My background is in specifically key management and identity. Not limited to that, but you know, basically I'm a microservice architect. You know, my background in key management is, you know, somewhat tailored to defense applications. But now I'm curious as to what type of identity providers exist, and overall, you know, I'm not interested in replicating work done by Google. In particular, they acquired Apogee, which was a gateway product. The philosophy that they use in their Google Tech meetups, which are local to DC, is largely they believe that the world should develop REST interfaces, and they should also, you know, develop the REST interfaces just, you know, without any identity or access or encryption. So the philosophy really is, have app developers, you know, develop their REST servers, and then the thought, and I don't know the answer to this, is perhaps, you know, acquiring a gateway, you know, product like an Apogee, you know, or perhaps, you know, integrating with Vault or some other provider has been somewhat the ongoing issue, right? So right now the issue is the offerings are somewhat confusing. The marketplace is somewhat crowded, and when I worked at Comcast, the solution that we had, at least for OAuth and login from web for Xfinity, was we used ping identity with ping federate with SAML tokens. So for web, that was really the solution with a Tomcat app server running on-prem, not running in Amazon. We didn't use Amazon there. But now with the advent of Amazon Cloud, and, you know, identity providers that exist, what we have to assume is that identity providers exist, right? The question, the architectural question is, if identity providers exist and they don't want to share their credentials in a public cloud, what federated service is available for a gateway from Amazon? And maybe Amazon has a gateway instead of Google's Apogee integration with Ping, or maybe we don't want Ping. Maybe we want Vault plus Amazon IAM with Mobile Hub.
Yeah, I think that's a great topic. I think there are two. I think there's also like two facets to that, or at least two facets. Like there's I guess authentication to the Kubernetes API, and there's also authentication to applications running on Kubernetes. I'm calling it authentication. Is that, yeah? identity dealing with Kubernetes applications. And I think my understanding is that AWS have products for both IAM and gateway something. I'm going to put, fair warning, I'm going to put you guys on the spot in a second. I don't know if AWS, anyone from Team AWS wants to talk about, I believe that there's some integration coming with IAM and the Kubernetes API. I don't know whether that's open source or what the state of that is. And I think another potential, I don't believe there is currently an integration with the AWS's Gateway product, which I think is called Gateway. And for example, Ingress. And I don't know if that makes sense or if anyone wants to talk about that or has done any work on that.
There is, I mean, for EKS, we're doing integration with IAM for authentication Kubernetes API. But as far as services running on Kubernetes, I don't know that there's any more specific integration than that. And I personally can't speak to more, we're talking about federation of different identity providers. And I don't know what other integration there is there. So I'm not that helpful, I guess.
The work that you're doing with IAM API integration with EKS, is that going to be open source, or what is the intention there? Or can you, if you
my intention? What is my intention?
No, well, I mean, if you're doing something, that would be great. But I was more thinking about the EKS work.
So we are actually working on making our changes that we have made to 1.9 out into the open source. But the thing is, that is going to be a transient thing, given that 1.10 has external authenticator support right now, right? So so that's going to be the ongoing Kubernetes blessed way of having IAM authentication as well. Does that make sense?
Is this for the Golang server that you wrote?
No, so this is for, so today in EKS, we have a modified version of Kubernetes to support IAM, right? So we are in the process of open sourcing that as well. But the thing is, this is going to be transient. The 1.10 is going to have external authenticator plugin in the client Go package. So which means that you'd be able to bring in anything, including the Heptio's AWS authenticator. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think the GitHub project didn't have a lot of description as far as feature sets.
Yeah.
So from my perspective, if I'm building, I don't know, let's say a Hello World server, and I've got an Android mobile app, and all I want to do is connect, and let's say, you know, my login is Joe, and my password is password, right? Mm-hmm. Then based on that, you know, if I use, let's say, AWS Mobile Hub, right, with Cognito, let's say, right, it's not clear to me how I link up with Cognito and how my credential Joe plus password is stored, right? So that, you know, that login plus password, you know, I'm wondering where is it stored? And I could obviously invest a lot, you know, time into Vault and store Joe plus password in a Vault, right? But I'd like to have an AWS service like Cognito plus Vault, or Cognito plus maybe your server, right? Your secret keeper, right?
Right. So these are some things that we haven't really thought about at this point in time for the product, right? But the thing is, I'll be happy to set up time with you to understand a little bit more of your requirements and then see how we can solve this.
Yeah, I have a particular slant from a mobile perspective, having done integration on Android, and I've done some social authentication with Facebook specifically.
Okay.
We can probably talk offline. I've done some work, and I've actually got a patent pending from Verizon.
Okay.
So a lot of this, maybe it's probably out of scope of this, but I am interested.
Okay, I'll reach out to you.
And I'll just put my email address here so you can reach out to me. We can set up a call.
All right, thank you.
That sounds great. Thanks, guys. And the external provider for the AWS IAM integration, the external authenticator, is that I think if you wanted to put that under the sig-aws umbrella, I think that would be a good one to propose and I could see that one being one that would be great to get in under that umbrella if that's something you wanted to do. But no need to commit at the current time. There is next item on the agenda. Chris Love, follow-up conversation about using AWS Linux 2, in other words, Linux 2, for the SIG AWS base image.
Yeah, so Bob Wise isn't here, so I'm not sure how far this conversation is going to go. But there was about 2 months ago, there was conversation about replacing the Debian image that the SIG owns with Amazon Linux 2 image. And there was Bob needed to do some follow-up internally. Edgewar and Bryce, either of you heard any news about that?
We are actually working with the AL2 team to get that going. So don't have anything specific to share at this point in time. So.
Is this Seth? Are you Seth? Are you Seth?
Somebody's unmuted, I think.
Was that Seth speaking?
No, it's Chris Love speaking.
Chris Love.
Chris Love and Edgewar.
I was asking, what is his name?
Who's?
The gentleman that were just speaking.
There's two gentlemen that were speaking. The guy with the fish is Chris Love, and the two gentlemen that are sitting next together in a conference room are AWS and Edgewar.
Chris Love, got it. Okay.
Yep. Cool. Edgewar, any idea when we wanted to set up a call about that? Like what type of? Or let me ask it a better way. When would you like me to bug you again about this question?
In a couple of weeks. Yeah.
Perfect. I'll give you a month, my friend.
All right. Thank you.
I know what you guys are doing currently, so I'll give you a month.
Chris, are there any, regardless of whether we change the default, are there any barriers to adopting the AWS Linux 2 image with COPS in terms of, other than just like we have to code support?
Well, I need understand. Well, I need an image. Hey, go use this, Chris, to start off with, which is a recommendation from AWS. I think I have EKS in my account now, which would simply allow me to piggyback the EKS image, as I can look at the AMI name for that. But do you guys have a common name for the EKS image?
Not yet, but what I can do is I can send you the actual AL2 AMI ID today. So. Right,
but it's different in every region, right?
That is correct.
And you guys only have it in US West 2 right now?
For the EKS one, yes, but for the base Amazon Linux 2 image, that's
okay. Yeah, so really we can't do ETE testing on it, Justin, until the image is everywhere, unless we use Image Builder and replicate it ourselves, but I'd rather let AWS harden it, and then we can do it. We can only test it in US West 2 right now if you have access to it.
Okay. Yep. I think I don't know, like, it's not a COPS, well, this is turning into a COPS thing, but it would be great. What we can do in EDE is we can lock it to a particular region, lock one test to a particular region and therefore a particular AMI. I would make a plea that to have a consistent name or tag or something across regions, because it makes it much easier for users, but I can share with you what we did on, like, some of the ones that work well and some of the ones that work less well, if that's useful. But I'll only do that if it's wrong. I presume you guys did it correctly, to be honest. Cool. We don't have anything else on the agenda right now, but yet we have 30 odd minutes of time left. It is, of course, Friday. If people would rather have the 30 minutes, or if other people have things they would like to bring up or discuss.
Yeah, this is Henry. I was trying to identify the gentleman in the glasses with the camouflage shirt with Bryce.
That's Ishwar.
That's Ishwar.
Ishwar, nice to meet you. It's Henry. Okay. So my understanding, Bryce and Ishwar are the ones working on the Golang server?
Well, on Amazon EKS, part of that is the IAM authentication. It's the Heptio authenticator that we're using.
Okay.
I think there might be a little bit of confusion. Am I on?
Yes.
Okay. The IAM authentication we're doing is to authenticate things against the cluster. It's not authentication for applications running in the cluster.
So it's not like maybe me authenticating a mobile app connecting to a REST API specifically.
Right, a REST API that's running in your cluster. What we're doing is authenticating your mobile app. If it was using, for instance, if it had a federated IAM identity, could then make calls against the Kubernetes API server.
So this is an internal IAM on the cluster itself.
So you can use an IAM identity with kubelet or with kubectl.
Maybe what might be helpful for me is if somebody drew a block diagram with the connections to Kubernetes EKS, right? And maybe AWS IAM, right? It would help me understand from a system topology how that is connected.
Yeah, so can you reach out to me? I put in my mail address over there. Just reach out to me and I'll share you the details. So it's all public, yeah.
I mean, like what the user-facing thing though is like today on Google Container Engine on GCE, you sign in once you've activated your Google Cloud account. You have credentials on your local machine. You're able to access kubectl using those same credentials, and the Kubernetes API understands who you are. And this is, I believe, from a like most basic user level, like the same experience where as long as I have an AWS access key and secret access key, that I'm able to access Kubernetes. It will be another means of authentication, and I won't have to have a separate credential set.
Yeah, and today that is the only way to authenticate into the Kubernetes API server in EKS today.
Okay. Well, we could take this offline. I'm kind of experimenting, and I'm new here.
Okay.
I'm a little bit handicapped. I don't want to have EKS preview access. So right now I can only run Kubernetes locally on Mac. But I've been trying to get my head wrapped around this Apogee gateway. I really don't like Google Apogee, so I'm hoping to have an Amazon, ecosystem.
Okay.
So my goal out of this would be just to get rid of Apogee and forget about them.
Okay.
Hey, do we have any other topics? I think Justin was asking that. Does anybody else have anything, Micah and others on the phone?
So just want to share, Micah is now helping us launch EKS. So he's in Amazon.
Yeah.
Congratulations, Micah.
Now we know another AWS person we can go harass.
We are all in the same room. So.
The secret is revealed.
So he's locked you all in the same room until you release EKS GA. That's what he's saying. You opened up the door, Eshwar. I just played through.
That's awesome. And it's good to see that Matt has a window at least.
Matt decided not to join us in the conference room. So, yeah.
Wise move. Good. Well, I guess if there's no other topics, then yeah, I guess I wish everyone a happy weekend. I will stop the recording and have a great weekend, everybody.
All right.
Happy Friday.
Thank you.